Prior to British rule, the Muslim-Mongol Empire ruled over India, which was mostly Hindu, between the early 1500s and the early 1700s. Initially, the Mughals formed alliances with a few kingdoms and slowly extended their control over the rest of the subcontinent. Using the ideas of untouchables, the lowest class of people in the Hindu caste system, the Mongols created opportunity for the millions of men thought of as lesser to be equal in society. They are able to convert to Islam, giving them a fair chance to find work, maintain a happier life, and affirm their allegiance to the Muslim-Mughal Empire. By the 1700s, the British defeated the Mughals in India by using force and allying themselves with kind and favorable kingdoms. As the years went by, India as a whole began to despise British rule and propose their immediate departure. The British, fearing bankruptcy due to the Second World War, agreed to their requests, so they were no longer responsible for suppressing the mass amount of chaos in India. But the Muslims, afraid of Hindu rule, demanded a partition that would create a separate Pakistan safe from persecution. By 1947, the British agreed to the terms, forming a Hindu India and an Islamic Pakistan. The partition of India by the British was done by their own selfish needs as well as for political gains of the Congress of India, Muslim League, and the British themselves. This caused millions of deaths and displaced people, and the ramifications are still being felt today. Before this life-changing decision, there are two main political groups in India. The Congress of India, led by Mahatma Gandhi, consisting of mostly Hindus, and the Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, consisting of mostly Muslims. The Congress of India at first were extremely cooperative with the British, even though they were basically being ruled over by them. In their turn, their supporters were awarded with better positions in the government and better overall treatment. But later on, the Congress of India became disillusioned with the British because British was far away and they didn't seem to care about the customs of people of India. The Congress of India wanted Britain to leave their country and end their rule over India. During their Quit India campaigns, the Congress supporters reacted with violence but were eventually put down by only 55 battalions of the British. The Congress Party's anger towards the Muslim League for their demands for a separate homeland for the Muslims also created tension in India. They especially resented the Muslims for their previous rule over India. In an attempt to show authority over them, they rallied for a ban of slaughtering cows, sacred to Hindus, so Muslims wouldn't be able to eat beef, and later on forced them to sing Vande Mataram, an anthem historically linked to anti-Muslim sentiment. The Muslim League also had ideas regarding Great Britain's rule and the Congress of India's motives towards the Muslims. Similar to the Congress, they also wanted the British to divide and quit, meaning they hoped for a partition of India then an immediate departure of the British. Since they previously ruled under Mughal Empire, Muslims had an especially hard time accepting the colonial culture and power. Many Muslims refused to learn English and associate with the British, but social reformer and educator Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who founded the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, told his fellow Muslims that they needed to work with the British and it was necessary for their survival. They concluded that it would be hard to cope with the Hindu society considering how poorly they treated Muslims. As a result of Hindu-Muslim riots, the idea of splitting India into two countries was finally put into effect in 1947. Great Britain eventually listened and concentrated on negotiating a speedy transfer of power to India and waited the finalization of the new borders. When power was handed over to India, it left many controversies unresolved because it was rushed by Louis Mountbatten, the last Viceroy of India. The independence of Pakistan and India was officially announced on August 15, 1947. However, the border was not actually decided till after the decision, creating widespread tensions across India. A British lawyer, Sir Radcliffe, then quickly drew up the border but without dated maps. Farms and communities were cut in half, but the British were able to avoid the responsibility of the mass fighting that followed. The day the partition was declared was the most gruesome day in the country's history. The partition of India led to the largest mass migration in history, with over 15 million people crossing the border of India to Pakistan, claiming many lives through riots, rapes, murders, and looting. Everyone who migrated left their homes by choice to be with their respective religions or by force, afraid of being tormented. Chaos erupted because the people partaking in this migration were moving into unknown lands, leaving the geographical homes of their ancestors behind. It should have been decided by the Muslim League and Indian Congress, but many individuals knew nothing of it until the day it was announced. The following are 4 individual accounts as to how the partition impacted each of them. Each man was interviewed to tell the story of his life before, during, and after India's largest mass migration. The first man, Muhammad, born in India, was an 8-year-old boy who moved to a refugee camp for 2.5 months before moving into Pakistan. As a young boy, he never realized whether someone was Hindu, Sikh, or Muslim. They were a community. but in Pakistan he was brought up to hate Hindus and Sikhs. Later on in life, he took up a job representing Pakistan in a Pakistan-India trade and realized that Hindus and Sikhs were not so bad. Next was one born in Pakistan and was an 11-year-old boy when his family moved to India. He and his family were all traumatized because they lost everything to get to India. They left all their belongings behind so they can safely practice their religion. Another man named Reginald was a 15-year-old Christian raised in Pakistan. He said that if it was a Muslim holiday, he was invited to a Muslim home. If it was a Hindu holiday, he was invited to a Hindu home. Or if it was a Christian holiday, he was invited to a Christian home. Then the partition happened. A Muslim friend helped him escape to India, unaware that the fighting there was worse. And finally, a man named Tilak Raj was a 16-year-old Hindu boy who lived in Pakistan leading up to the partition and later on fled to India with his family. At the time, he lived in a decently wealthy household, that is until the partition came. He was constantly on the move, staying with friends and relatives. Every night, some members of his house would keep watch, afraid the house would be raided. Later, in August of 1947, a family sent them a message to leave that night because they were going to be killed. His family then scattered, their home and property were all gone, and they were reduced to poverty. These four men's stories represented what it was like to be a young boy and how much it truly affected the lives of the average family during the partition. Partition, India, Pakistan, later and Bangladesh have changed drastically. India starved the most because they received 90% of the industry in prospering cities of Delhi, Bombay, Mumbai, and Calcutta. They are now becoming a huge participant in information technology, telecommunications, and pharmaceuticals. India became a dominantly Hindu country and most of the people in the villages remain illiterate. The Muslim League succeeded in creating an Islamic nation but are not able to benefit from the partition. Pakistan's economy was based on agriculture and controlled by feudal elites and only received 70.5% of the British colonial government financial reserves. They have been led mostly by military leaders for the past 60 years and only occasionally does a religious dispute occur. And finally, Bangladesh, formed in 1971, has not changed their advantage much. They are a majority Muslim country, but almost half the population lives on less than $1 a day. It has gone under military rule a few years after independence, but it was changed to a democracy in 1990. The politics there are usually unpredictable. In summary, imperialism is ethically and morally wrong. The partition of India happened because of the political self-interest of the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League, and as an escape route for the British due to their World War II debt. In addition, the division of the country into two parts, separated by more than 1,000 miles, solely based on religious differences, is unprecedented in history. There has been no economic gain nor any decrease in religious violence from this decision to break India in half. India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh continue to fear each other today and spend more money than they can afford on their militaries. It would have been better for the British to leave India undivided and let the population settle their internal differences.